All right. Much peace, much peace. Once again, Sunray coming through with some information this time. Hopefully, all is clear and in engagement properly. Just do a quick check just in case. All right. Seems good. Go back to my place. First off, I'll drop the link for anybody who wants to come through. Give it a bit of time. If well, folks, before they come through, much appreciation again to all who do come through. Um, be blessed. We just had some mad streams going on. I just thought I might get it up. Hopefully, if you do come through, hit the like on the way in. Share. It'll help. Much peace to us, Ramsey, my brother. All right, let's get into it, eh? We lost somebody already. And nice, but anyway, this is some information. But before I start, there'll be some definite, acknowledgement to the traditional. Some say traditional. I say original custodians of this land we call Australia. Where I am, it is the Kaurna people. Where I was born, it was the Murri people. But we must give and respect to that and recognize that fact. And before I begin this, there will be some pictures to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander viewers that might be viewing this. Bit of a disclaimer that there will be some uh, depictions of some people that have passed away. Okay, so basically, as you can see here, we've got Pemulwuy, right? This is how you'd be pronouncing this gentleman's name, or this, in my mind, a hero of sorts. A freedom fighter. He stood up for his rights, stood up for his culture at the time. Um, so basically, I'll see if that's too early, but anyway, so 790, 1792, right? Australia was colonized the Federation was written in 1788, but I think Captain Cook's for the British fleet got here in around 1770 something. Uh, but anyway, it's quite off the point. But this just to show you that he was a resistance fighter of the first fleet, you know, of the in where they first land in the area of Botany Bay, Sydney. So he, an Aboriginal warrior, Pemulwuy, leads resistance against Sydney colonists. Right. So here we are. Here's just a depiction, artist conception of stencil sorts of this man. Obviously just doing some work here again. An engraving by Samuel John Neal of James Grant's image of Pemulwuy, as they would call him, believed to be the only known depiction of Pemulwuy. Well, we'll see. Yeah, in the future. I mean, into this stream, we'll get into more few pictures here. But 2 years, I'll keep it up here a little bit, we kind of see. So 2 years after the arrival of the first fleet, Aboriginal warrior Pemulwuy began to resist the incursion of white settlers onto his people's traditional lands. Despite being seriously wounded in 1797, he eluded capture until 1802, when he was shot dead. Pemulwuy's head was cut off and sent to Sir Joseph Banks for his collection. This is um, so this is what I was saying. A bit of a disclaimer over this. This is how it was though back then. So Governor King to Lord Hobart, Secretary of State for the Colonies, 30th October 1802, decided measures therefore became necessary to prevent the outsettlers from being robbed and plundered, and to restore the natives to a friendly intercourse with these views founded on the opinions of the principal officers coinciding with mine. I gave the orders for every person doing the utmost to bring Pemulwuy in either dead or alive. So I'll go into a little bit more. Okay, so I'll read this here. Rathmore, despite his reputation, both before and after his death, only a few firm acts are known about Pemulwuy or Bembil Bembil Bembilwaya. Yeah, that's how it'd be pronounced. Bembilwaya. He was born sometime around 1750 and was shot dead on or just prior to June 2, 1802. A Bidjigal man from Botany Bay in the area of Sydney. His country stretched from Botany Bay south of the Cooks River and west along the George Rivers to Salt Pan Creek of South Bankstown. Now, these are all areas which are, if anybody's been to Sydney or traveled to Australia in these types, this is the or have heard of Sydney. This is the prime real estate of these places where this man Pemulwuy and his people were living for generations and generations. So and that was, as you said, as we say, the Bidjigal region from his country. So that's what, when words are spoken of such things, Bidjigal being his, say, tribe, and country being the region which they were the custodians of. Now, they have very deep thoughts of this, and much pay respect to that. That for all of time, they are the custodians of this land, of that particular land, and have been so. So a bit more to Pemulwuy going on. So I'll read. This is same, a little bit further. Pemulwuy was a courageous resistance fighter who led a guerrilla war against the British settlement at Sydney Cove from 1788 through to 1802. Because of his resistance to the invaders, he became one of the most remembered and written about historical figures in Australian Aboriginal history. Pemulwuy was a Bidjigal man from the Botany Bay area of Sydney. He saw the damage done to the Aboriginal society by the colonisers and was not tempted to befriend them as other Sydney Aboriginal people, including Arabanu and Bennelong, had done. Bennelong being a quite famous individual of who could be described, or is it? It might come up in that one. He was just basically like the character of Samuel L. Jackson in Django, to put it lightly. He was, he took to the Europeans' ways very much so. Sorry to stay off topic there. So I'll read that again. Pemulwuy was a Bidjigal man from Botany Bay area, South Sydney. He saw the damage done to the Aboriginal society by the colonisers and was not tempted to befriend them as he saw other Sydney Aboriginal people do. Now, in December 1790, Pemulwuy speared a much disliked gamekeeper, a convict named John McIntyre, who was known for killing Aboriginal people. When McIntyre died from his wounds in January the following year, Governor Arthur Phillip retaliated by ordering a punitive expedition. 50 soldiers and 2 surgeons headed into the bush, where their inept bush skills gave early warning of their presence, and not a single Aboriginal person was captured. Pemulwuy led many guerrilla conflicts against the settlement from Botany Bay to Parramatta area, and from Botany Bay to the Parramatta area, and later to Tongtungabi. In a battle at Parramatta in 1797, where he was shot and hospitalized, but later escaped to the delight of his community. Wanted dead or alive, Pemulwuy was finally shot dead in 1802, and his head was sent to England. His son Ted Berry was taken prisoner in 1805. Now, some further reading on this could be from Heather Giddle and Alison Cadzo's book in 2009 called Rivers and Resilience, Aboriginal People on the Sydney and Georges River. J.L. Cohen's Pemulwuy, 1750 to 1802. Keith Vincent Smith's Pemulwuy, A Dictionary of Sydney. So, I mean, basically, why I wanted to point this man out and how, it's kind of this, as the title says, it's facts which people aren't really aware of. Like, as I said just before, Sydney is one of the prime spots. It's the biggest, mega city of Australia. It's competing globally with worldwide with so much of these places now. And there was a reason for that, because it is where the port is. It's got the prime landscape, fertile land. It's got the river and all these such things. And now these are such things that the Indigenous people also recognize. And there was fish food everywhere around, and everything was in abundance. And another, a little bit off topic, but when from Brisbane, it's called the River City, where I'm born. Now, at that time, when the colonists came, that water was clear as crystal. You could see into it and be eating the fish from it. But now, when I've grown up, since the what 200-300 years of colonization and development, that water is, and I think they call it dredging, but it's just turned brown, and you wouldn't be seen eating any fish from out there, although some people do, and they're infested with plenty of bull sharks and things like this. But keep back onto Pemulwuy. So I was wanting to talk. Where did I put? I must have put it up here. Yeah, I think so. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is pretty much where I was basically say the Battle of Parramatta is where, unfortunately, it was the demise of Pemulwuy. There was a few that I thought I'd be able to click onto so you could see, but we'll go from here. The resistance. Pemulwuy persuaded the Eora people, which is, you can see here if you're able to. This is the area of land which they were. The Eora and Australian Aboriginal people of New South Wales. Eora is the name given by the earliest settlers to a group of Aboriginal people. Belonging to the clans along the coastal regions of Sydney. They were the first to come in contact with the white settlers. Anyway, to the Eora, Darug, Tharaway people, so all along this area, to join in his campaign against the settlers. From 1792, Pemulwuy led raids on settlers from Parramatta, Georges River, Prospect, Toonagabble, Brickfield, and the Hawkesbury River. So that these little features are obviously of what is now like a suburb of Sydney, a very well-developed suburb of Sydney. So his most common tactic was to burn crops and kill livestock. In May 1795, Pemulwuy or one of his followers speared a convict near present-day Chippendale. In December 1795, Pemulwuy and his warriors attacked a work party at Botany Bay, which included Black Caesar, whose real name was John Caesar, and he was the first Australian bushranger and one of the first people of African descent to arrive in Australia. Well, I'll check out about that. There you go. There's another interesting fact we'll have to delve into. So basically, he attacked the work party, which included this fellow in Botany Bay, one of the earliest settlers of, he's already said that, and a well-known Caesar managed to crack Pemulwuy's skull, and many thought he had killed him, but the warrior survived. Now, this is also one of the great, one of the many factors which add to Pemulwuy's, what's the word, kind of like mystique, because he had supposed to have been shot several times, and he survived. Right here it says he cracked his skull, many thought he was killed, but he survived, so they described him as somewhat of the English called him the ghost in some which way. But I'll continue on. So the escape, so he's been caught after several and many battles and brilliant attacks. His strategy was known for his strategy, the way that he would, be able to defeat these people. Obviously, the Redcoats are coming with really up to date military weaponry. Outnumbered them, and basically, these men came through just living with. Had spears in themselves, and they had heart, they had the knowledge of the land, and they had, just in comparison, I wanted to say that you see, they weren't wearing any armor or anything like that. They were just there with their spears and their heart. So basically, once he'd been captured, he did escape though from a jail. So escaped despite still having a buckshot in his head and body, wearing a leg iron. See, I'll repeat that. Despite still having buckshot in his head and body, and wearing a leg iron, so in chains, Pemulwuy escaped from the hospital. This added to the belief that he was a Caridi. I guess that's I think that it was amongst his people that word, gives him a legendary status. So Pemulwuy resumed his fighting against the British by November 1797. So it took him a year and a bit. So he was shot down there, left for dead, basically, and would not have been given the greatest treatment here, and escaped, and was ready to resume battle in November 1797. However, his injuries had affected his ability as a fighter, and his resistance was on a smaller and more sporadic scale for the rest of his life. Convicts William Knight and Thomas Thrush escaped and joined the Aboriginal resistance. According to Richard Green, with simple spears, rocks, boomerangs, stones, he, this is Pemulwuy, defeated the British army that they sent here. Every single soldier except for Watkin Trench they sent in pursuit of Pemulwuy either walked back into the community with their saddle over their shoulders, or they did not make it back. Now that shows you the true warrior manhood and the culture, the pride that this man had. This is amazing. A lot of people consider this just would consider him to be disgusting, but even the fact that this man Richard Green would say similar things I was just talking about. They come through. They had very very simple means of attack, but they knew the strategy, they knew the land, and they left them basically all these so-called educated, just superior people, so-called, supposedly, were left in their tracks by this man Pemulwuy. So this part I wanted to read because it ends up in very just shocking details I just found. So anyway, so his death. Governor Philip Gidley King issued an order on the 22nd of November 1801 to bring Pemulwuy in dead or alive with an associated reward. The order attributed the killing of 2 men, the dangerous wounding of several others, and a number of robberies to Pemulwuy. So these were his charges, his supposed charges. On the 2nd of June 1802, Pemulwuy was shot and killed by British sailor Henry Hacking, the first mate of an English ship. So, yeah, he wasn't really. This was just so you can see there from that's a death order. The judge has given out here. I shouldn't laugh at this. So Philip Gidley King. Captain Philip Gidley King was the 3rd governor of New South Wales and did much to organise the young colony in the face of great obstacles. So according to our Australian history, this man is a well, man of prestige. They give him honor, and he asked for the death of Pemulwuy, dead or alive. They wanted him back. So after being wounded, all the people believed that he was immune to British bullets, says Richard Green. So he'd stand out in front and, stand right out in front of them and take them on, So after 12 years, his time ran out. He got shot and he took it. So that's another, Following the death of Pemulwuy, Governor King wrote to Lord Hobart that on the death of Pemulwuy, he was given his head by Aboriginal people, as Pemulwuy had been the cause of all that had happened. So, I'll just read that again. If for your people to sink in. This is the kind of mentality of these ruling elite of this Australian country. Only like 120 or 200 years ago now. So, following the death of this man Pemulwuy, the Governor King. So this is the Governor King of England wrote to the Lord of Hobart, Australian state, that on the death of Pemulwuy, he was given his head. He wanted his head, but so he wants the Aboriginal people to give it up. The governor issued orders with the immediate effect not to molest or ill-treat any native and to readmit them to the areas of Parramatta and Prospect from which they had been forcibly excluded. Pemulwuy's head was preserved in spirits. It was sent to England to Sir Joseph Banks, accompanied by a letter from Governor King, who wrote, "Although a terrible pest to the colony, he was a brave and independent character." Pemulwuy's son, Tedbury, continued the struggle for a number of years before being killed in 1810. Pemulwuy's death remains confusing to historians and to Aboriginal Australians, and the Sydney Morning Herald, which is one of the main newspapers in Sydney, described it in 2003 as Australia's oldest murder mystery. So, this is the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because these are facts, and people don't really know the precise facts, but I would like people to be aware about this man Pemulwuy, and just the situations that were of the past of this country. It wasn't very much long. It wasn't long ago, as we all know. So the skull. Repatriation of the skull of Pemulwuy has been requested by Sydney Aboriginal people. It has not yet been located in order to be repatriated. In 2010, Prince William announced he would return Pemulwuy's skull to his Aboriginal relatives. Okay, so I'm not sure. I really doubt. Maybe they have been, but I should check that out. It probably suggested that it would be up to date. So they can't find them supposedly, and they don't want to give the bones back for a proper ceremony for his family. So obviously there's a lot. His legacy. The Sydney suburb of Pemulwuy, New South Wales, was named after him. Pemulwuy Park in Redfern. It's another suburb of Sydney, holds a lot of history with the Indigenous community. So there's just a little bit of information on this great man that I thought. So, and then they sadly said there wasn't many images taken from him. So this is obviously this day and age. This isn't him. This one here. This is a video image that he played a character. So these are some sketches that they we'll try and zoom in a bit. I've seen a few like different pictures. He was I think he was 6'4", 6'2", very athletic, strong build, muscular physique, and like just like a pristine warrior type man, although he did supposedly have a disfigurement in his one of his left or his right foot, and this was amongst his people considered an omen of good luck. It might have been the reason why he was. Oh, here we go. I have to read into this gentleman Black Caesar. Okay, if you were listening to me before, that this was an occasion where the Aboriginals came to attack a British settlement party, and amongst them was this gentleman Black Caesar, who is supposedly the first man of African descent in Australia. So we'll check that one out in the upcoming streams. That couldn't be a photo of him. So, just for example, this is the type that's the outfit I was saying. So, they come in and they know the land. They're armed with this. They're very vicious. It's brilliant, brilliant. I think in my mind, just compared to the rifle, it had a bit of trouble. So yeah, I think that's about it on Pembroke. I did want to. I was looking for a little bit to describe about Benelong. Uh, oh, here we go. So this is what I wanted to kind of read, but I mustn't. I took it down. So sorry about that. I'll just check up in there if anybody's. I'll go through this and then I'll come and check the chat. Thanks for everybody who is in here. If you and I hope that all is coming through clear. So yeah, just enjoy it. But as I said, reminded about Pemulwuy. So Pemulwuy, as we all know, was a powerful resistance leader against the British settlers who occupied his land. He took the fight to the government farm at Toonagabbie, which is the Parramatta, and stormed into the town of Parramatta at the head of 100 warriors. His exploits and bravery made Pemulwuy the stuff of myth and legend. Governor Philip Gidley King considered Pemulwuy an active, daring leader of his people and wrote that although a terrible pest of the colony, he was a brave and independent character. In Pemulwuy, the Rainbow Warrior, a brilliant work of fiction by Eric Wilmot, he constructed a black hero for the Australia's Aboriginal community. The colonists first heard about Pemulwuy in October 1790 when Woolloowarri Bennelong, right? Okay, here we go. This is the fella I was sort of talking about. So, Bennelong was a Euro man captured by Governor Philip, who travelled to England and back and taught the settlers much about Aboriginal language and culture. So he was as I said before, like the Samuel L. Jackson character in Django. So he the settlers, the British took him in and really supposedly civilized him, and he was able to translate and do such things. Anyway, so that's what I was wanting to say about this fella. He asked the Marine sergeant and his troops searching for. I'll start that again because I've been a bit off track here with this Bennelong fella because he's a very famous character, like in the history of it, but he was the one. He was amongst others, but he was supposedly this Governor Philip's pet, this sort of thing, so. Because anyway, you can just for another time. The colonists first heard about Pemulwuy in, said October 1790, when Bennelong asked a Marine sergeant and his troops searching for a missing convict to join a war party to kill Pemulwuy. This was just 10 days after the peaceful coming in of the Eora coastal Aborigines to the Sydney settlement, negotiated between Bennelong and Governor Arthur Phillip. So you obviously can see that there's some conspiring going on between this fella here, Governor Philip, who was the one taken, given the leadership of the area of New South Wales, I think. Motherfucker, but anyway, in my opinion. So Benelong said Pemulwuy, then aged about 30, was well known for having lost an eye. He was the leader of a clan, Botany Bay, which is beautiful, the large bay into where Captain Cook and the Georges look. This is where they came. Anyway, Captain Watkin Tench described him as a young man with a speck or blemish on his left eye. Pemulwuy's name was derived from Pemail Bimel, meaning earth or clay. Through the final decade of the 19th century, Pemulwuy led guerrilla attacks against the settler farms, burning their huts, maize crops, and livestock, and plundering their possessions. He operated mainly in his own Bidjigal and Bedijigal property, which stretched from Botany Bay south of the Cooks River and west along the Georges River to Salt Pan Creek, south of Bankstown. So this is the areas in southern Sydney, around Sydney area. There was another clan called the Bidjigal in the present Castle Hill area, but according to Colby and Balluderi, 1791, they had been wiped out by smallpox. George Rivers was regarded as the head of Botany Bay, while Cook's River was its north arm. Bidjigal literally means river flat clan. Benelong told Philip that the tribes which reside about Botany Bay and the inland parts near the head of that harbour always killed the white men. So this was the part, see, because this was the prime land where they wanted to get into, and this is where the prime warriors were, because things were plentiful, things were great. All the food and the seafood was there, and they were just, the stress wasn't there, no disease was there. Life was civilized and cultured in my mind, in my sense, and people were living beautifully. There is evidence that Pemulwuy was a carity, a clever man or doctor who could heal wounds. Oh, okay, so that's what it means. So it's Colby, the Cadigal headman, told Governor Philip that Pemulwuy could easily be recognized because a club had bruised the toes of his left foot. Anthropologists have noted that Cadalcha men of Central Australia dislocate their small toes to travel swiftly and quietly in shoes of blood and emu feathers to take vengeance on an enemy. In Wilmot's version, Pemulwuy transforms himself into a bird to escape. Although Benelong called Pemulwuy his enemy, it can be seen in hindsight that Benelong and Colby collaborated with Pemulwuy in the killing of Governor Philip's game shooter, the convict John McIntyre. Or McIntyre. Oh, it's just two different spellings. In 1790, Pemulwuy came to Sydney and stayed for 2 weeks in Benelong's brick hut at Tubowuggli, Benelong Point. Philip noted that a man belonging to the Botany Bay tribe had for more than a fortnight slept at his hut. Through Benelong said the man was bad and spoke of him as his enemy. On Friday, the 10th of December, 1790, McIntyre was resting in a hide with a hunting party near Cook's River when they heard a noise in the bush and saw four Aboriginal men crawling towards them. "Don't be afraid. I know them," said McIntyre. He spoke to the men in their own language, asking them to stop and offering them bread. McIntyre believed Pemulwuy had been in Sydney because he was clean-shaven and had short hair. As the game shooter put down his gun, Pemulwuy stood on a log, fixed a spear on his woomera, in his woomera, that's the spear thrower, and it just gives it extra distance and accuracy, and threw it. I am a dead man," cried McIntyre. That's right, boy. The jagged spearhead penetrated deep into McIntyre's body, perforating his lung. When he extracted the spearhead, Surgeon John White found that it was barbed with small pieces of red stone, silcrate flakes. So there you go. That shows you a lot of knowledge about weaponry warfare and attacking. These people are very. They had a beautiful culture. They still do. It's amazing to show that they were not at Cook's River during the attack on McIntyre. Colby and Bennelong separately travelled to Rose Hill to visit Phillip that day. 3 months earlier, they had called in Willemering from Broken Bay, who speared and wounded Phillip at the whale feast at Kayumi in near Manly Cove. These are all the places that the Australian names. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, basically, I could keep going. It's quite a long. I mean, that's where it says the Battle of Parramatta is the reason why, this is where he was shot. So, I mean, I have spoken about this, but for those of you just joined us, this is maybe the last little bit on him, and then we can go through. So, in March 1797, Pemulwuy led a raid against the government farm at Toongabbie. After the series of robberies at the northern farms near the Burnside home, Parramatta, a vigilante group of armed settlers and soldiers encountered more than 100 hostile Aboriginals at sunrise and chased them to the outskirts of Parramatta. Tiring of the chase, the punitive party entered the town, but an hour later, Pemulwuy and a large body of natives followed them, and Pemulwuy, in a rage, speared a soldier. Many spears were thrown at the settlers, and the settlers opened fire, killing at least five Aboriginal warriors with the first volley. Pemulwuy was severely wounded, with 7 buckshot lodged in his head and body, and was taken to hospital. A later historian and then journalist, John Heneker-Heaton, claimed that the Aborigines, 50 people, were shot in the fighting. Pemulwuy recovered and escaped from Parramatta Hospital in Irons. He was seen soon after at a point on the Georges River near Botany Bay in 1800. He was seen soon after at the Georges Bay near Botany Bay. In 1800, George Washington Price, newly arrived to the Minneriva, said Pemulwuy had lodged in him in shot, slugs, and bullets about 8 or 10 ounces of lead. It is supposed to he has killed over 30 of our people. The legend grew that Pemulwuy could not be killed by firearms, but in the end he proved mortal. On the 1st of May 1801, Governor King gave the orders to drive back hordes of natives around Parramatta, the Georges River, and Prospect Hill by gunfire. He outlawed convicts William Knight and Thomas Thrush, who had joined the Aboriginal resistance. In November, troops were sent to Mill Creek on the Georges River, and the king offered rewards including free pardons for convicts and 20 gallons of spirits for their capture, and that Pemulwuy who was wanted, and that of Pemulwuy, who was wanted dead or alive. Wow. So sorry for that little bit of a disruption in reading. So the King of England offered in 1801 had sent out basically a reward of a pardon for any of these convicts in this land and 20 gallons of spirits, I guess, in that time, which would have been something of a lot of value uh, for the capture, for those other two convict captured, but they also wanted Pemulwuy dead or alive, as I mentioned. So on the 2nd of June, 1802, Pemulwuy was shot and decapitated. So that took him 2 months, about June, April, May. Oh no, April, May, June. So 1 month. And in 1 month, they unfortunately found this man and did what they did. And on October 2, 1802, in October 1802, Governor King advised Lord Hobart at the Home Office in London that the two settlers, not having the means of securing the person of Pemulwuy and the other natives, shot them. Oh, okay. So obviously they were, it seems uh, fair trial, fair justice. You know, let lock them up, let them to a fair trial. But unfortunately, the circumstances we were unable to do so. So the man was shot. Yes. Okay, that's just you know, that's just my view on those silly solace. So yeah, I wanted to read that one first. Actually, I just sort of mucked up the total order of the thing that and once again, I just started a little impromptu thing because I saw he was live, got inspired, and you know, just wanted to see. And this is it, like set up little screenshots, and then get some views going, get like the view out there, and with some information. I do want to start some beat ones. I tried one yesterday, but it just was taking ages to load. So anyway, I'll read this last little bit and see what he says. The governor alleged that the other Aborigines had asked for Pemulwuy's head to be cut off and sent to him. The notion of a single killer was suggested by David Mann, the governor's clerk, who wrote in 1811 that the king had offered a reward to any person who should kill him and bring him in his head. This was soon accomplished by artifice. The man received the reward, and the head was sent to England in spirits by the Speedy. That's just amazing, And as I just mentioned before, the family has still not received these things. 2010, supposedly Prince William had said he will return it to the family. So, I mean, check that out, dude. People, I'll go back into we got 4 people in here. Much peace to J My, peace to Mind's Eye, peace to Grandma Abkar Nefa. So, I don't know if you guys heard that. If you could hit the 1, if it all came through. 2, if it didn't come through, that would be appreciated. If you guys want to come up, man, most definitely more than welcome. Odds are if you got time, bro, or if not, we just got someone new in the house too. Dang it. Just be able to miss the little bit of presentation I just try to put forward. But yeah. So as you see, I'm trying to keep it progressive, keep it regular, keep it constant with these streams, and just keep it growing. I don't know how that went. I'll have to keep going back, but this is obviously not my topic too. I just impromptu trying to find things of my that of my interest, and I take screenshots and stuff. I've got so many I just do. So I figured I might as well just not too hard to do that. Get up and discuss, and um, it's also expression as I read in here. As I put in the what do you call it, the description. It's just a discussion about issues we face in our life experience, and in the viewpoints and stuff. So it's like you can, what do I say? It's like have your word heard or just listen. So I'll get to the chatty, um, and much peace again to all out here taking the time to listen. I totally appreciate it. If you can't come up, that's all good. And I hope that information, if you didn't get to see it, you could kind of read it, because as I said, this is info which is not so common, and I know it should be, people should be aware of these things, and I don't think many people are, and especially being from on the other side of the world. It's great. I feel great getting it across. So we got grandma's got a message here for review here. You are showing how they kept replaying the same script. It's so needed. They cause folks to think this is some brand new government. Exactly, Grandma. Exactly. This is what I have said that quite a few times in the time I've been around here. We are, when I see and watch American streams in UK, like watch American streams in the pubs, and it's not exactly the same as I've said. On like I like to go check out Taz and Nyla's stream a lot. P1 Network, and obviously we can't uh, even imagine what it's like to have the American experience or the Afro American experience, but same in the same way you couldn't you like can't experience the Australian way of life and the way of the intricacies of racism and um, underlying racism, and the British people either. Like, so it's all unique, but I say we face similar problems worldwide, and as you just said, we're under the same, they do the same sort of script, and it's a brand new brand of government shit. But yeah, um, I appreciate that. I appreciate your kind words, Grandma. Um, Grandma Abkar, like that's, she's saying that I'm just still trying to um, get the word out, and these people, obviously there are many distractions that are purposely put there. But even in saying that, man, I'm not perfect, and we can't say we're all, nobody is, but it's just like I try to, what's that, like, you know, you always feel a bit dissatisfied in some of the things that you might not have accomplished and things like that. So, but and maybe you let your parents down in some ways, but a lot of my friends tell me, hey, you shouldn't even be bothered thinking about that. You got to focus on yourself. But that's one thing that sort of gets me down, that, because they wanted me, and basically to my brother and sister have done really well in their college, tertiary success, university success, and in their jobs. One other brother has had a pretty rough life, and then I'm like, doing my own thing, but still haven't completed the tertiary. But I just never had. I always used to argue with the lecturers when I got there, like. But anyway, that's a bit of complaints, and I should just get to and keep doing this sort of stuff, and get better at doing this sort of stuff, and also be along with putting this info out, putting my beat videos out. Like I really want to just keep doing that, and just keep just. But anyway, so and you just got, and I've got to do it. I could say it or whatever, but I've just got to keep doing it. It takes time, so and it will build. You just hit it to the right crowd. You got to do the right thing, brand it to the right market with hashtag, like what are they called, description tags and things like that. It really helps. They were saying, and it does. But just yeah, I haven't really put many up, but yeah, just jam sessions, just show you just making beats and people can listen through. But yeah, so I'll go back to the chat. I'll go up a bit. So Jay, my man, if you're still in the house, thanks, brother. Everything was clear. Ramsay, my man, first one in the house. Mine's came through easy. Oh, right. Well, that's good, man. I'm happy that went through pretty sweet. So, where are we at on here? Is it about an hour? It's a little under an hour, so we could draw it to a close, I guess. There's not many in the place to be, but probably, hopefully the folks that do view. Oh, okay. So the B1's up. So, like, I'll probably, yeah. I don't know if you guys have heard of, but Taz Exclusive, The GOAT, the B1 Network 24-hour channel, and Nyla Says. So there are some really good content creators that I view a lot. So I think they started about 20 minutes ago. I might finish this up and hop over there. I just thought I'd give them a little quick promo, or what's that, a plug. So yeah, much peace to all out there. Oh, I'm still sharing, so shit. I hope obviously it's gonna be coming through with. Oh no, that's okay. It's not on the screen. That's cool, eh? So yeah, getting a bit better, trying to figure things out. What do you got there? What do you got there? Is it gonna? There's nobody in the house, so you can't change it. So that's Cam. So wiggly wiggly whack, wiggly what? The cat ran out the clock. The mouse ran back down. What's his nice? Scary ass clown. No, I'm just joking. That's just yeah, no, we gotta be serious, eh? We gotta be happy, we gotta be jovial, we gotta be trying, but we gotta stop talking, we gotta start moving. And I'm serious with that concern. Oh, we got a few more people in the house because I said we gotta start moving. We gotta start doing. We gotta start proving. So to those new people, if they just jumped in the house, I'll give them a little bit. Oh, whoop, they went away. But see, that's the weird thing about this. I'm not sure about the numbers. It says up like 4 or 5, and then like if I go check it straight after, it'll be like 30 odd views, and it's just like weird. So to the new person in here, this is what I was talking about. Pemulwuy, right? Great resistance fighter of the First Fleet of British colonists that came to discover this land. It's just information that people should be aware of and research. It would be great if you could tell. If it would be great, man. If anybody who hear this, like, tell your friends about this, man, and they can just have a little bit of a read or look up for themselves and learn. Just to. So there are many others, others like him that resisted as the settlement went through to different places. Like it expanded. It started as in America, the 13 colonies came, and then they eventuated taking the Louisiana deal or whatnot, and then they went west even further. Similar thing here. Settlers' rules laws were disgusting. Like, I mean, even in the past stream I just said is 1824. It was legal. Up until that year, it was legal to kill an indigenous person. So hey, that's pretty crazy. So I think that person may have left. So oh gee, I'll get out of here. And once again, acknowledgement to the traditional original custodians of this place. May the ancestors keep blessing, and may we be pure, clean, lives the life of trueness of ourselves. Also in this time of uh, the COVID-19 worry, may anybody and everybody who hears this not contract or be affected by this in any way. May any of their loved ones also not have any effect or contract this infection in any way at all. So, and as you always know, just be yourself, rise up, and keep up one, man. Hit the like, hit the share, tell your friends. We're going to drop the comment too, man. Any comment about topics you want to hear, that'd be awesome too. Yeah, and I'm just going to try and keep, as I said, you got to keep it in routine, keep it in proper material, and just do what you say. You can't really like try. You're always gonna have haters, not haters, but you can't please everybody. So you got to do what's right for you and do what just makes you happy, and just keep doing it. So I won't keep rambling. We might have one more new person in the house, but much peace. Please hit the replay if you're just coming in and check this out. So yeah. Enjoy your day, evening, whatever it might be, and stay tuned. Keep fresh, high grade all day. Oh, actually, before I leave, I might do um a little bit of a traditional smoke session blessing to get to leave us. Oop. You know what I mean? No offense to anybody who's not so much a fan of the herb or ganja advocate, but I am a true believer that herbs are the healing of the nation. Plural. Bamba. Bless. Alright, man. So peace to all. See you soon. Stay great. Be yourself. That's right. Be yourself.